picture explains it all in terms of the plight of the local civilians of Afghanistan. There is no better defining picture that can explain to you the kind of plight and the kind of desperation these people have. On your screens, what you can see is people clinging on to the C-17s. And Gaurav, coming back to the United States, has the Biden administration or the President of the United States of America himself issued any kind of a statement on this humanitarian crisis which is unfolding right there in Afghanistan?
You know, when you hear the US President Joe Biden in that press conference, and reporters were putting multiple questions about Taliban's takeover of Kabul, and he was very categoric, no, that's not happening. Intelligence reports that are out in public domain, they seem to indicate completely a different picture. They actually talked about troops being amassed or Taliban being amassed across the border in Pakistan. So when Pakistan claims, and yesterday I had a Pakistani guest on the show who said that this is Pakistan's December 16, 1971 moment when Pakistan was dismembered and Bangladesh was born. He said this is Pakistan's revenge for it. Whatever logic, convoluted, strange logic, but that is Pakistan's logic, that they say that they have avenged the defeat in Bangladesh and the birth of Bangladesh, the defeat in 1971, by ensuring that India or Indian interests are adversely impacted in Afghanistan. But India is not the main player. It's the people of Afghanistan who have actually lost when you look at these images. And these are not words. This is visible to the entire world. Joe Biden has had to once again send in more troops into Afghanistan just to ensure evacuation. So they sent in 3 infantry battalions initially, 1 marine battalion and 2 infantry battalions, and now they've had to send in 2 more and 2 more in reserve at this point of time in Doha, Qatar. So that just shows you know, how desperate the situation is, and the Americans realize that. They didn't realize it 1 week earlier, but within a week of total collapse, 20 years of investing blood and treasure.
And you know, when Biden came to power, there were Defense Department and other officials urging him to keep some level of counter-terrorism force in place in Afghanistan for several more years, fearing that this exactly would happen.
Jyoti, you're absolutely right. And they did not have to invest much because a 300,000 strong Afghan army or a counter-terrorism force was being prepared. So all they required was effective leadership, guidance, money, yes, and air support. Everything was pulled out overnight. Everything. I mean, what were they thinking? Why were they doing this? It still defies logic, at least of the people on ground in Afghanistan, because 20 years you've invested so much and overnight you pull it all back. Not even air support, no maintenance, no guidance, no intelligence inputs, and you had an Afghan army which was just about learning how to fight. Incidentally, an Afghan army that hadn't been paid for the past 10 months. So look at the difference in motivation level of the Taliban, where a Taliban commander and the top Taliban commander's son was sent out into a suicide mission and was killed in a suicide mission. So look at the motivation of the Taliban, that the commander's son is killed in a suicide mission. It galvanizes more forces and they move in. And an unpaid Afghan army for 10 months who don't know what they're fighting for, because in the middle of battle, the defense minister is changed, the army chief is changed, several corps commanders are changed, and they just don't know what they're fighting for. The psyops of the Taliban, much better. Information warfare led by Pakistan, so much better that the Afghan National Army, it just melted away. Not paid, not having effective leadership, not having higher direction of war, and the Americans who just pull the plug. And
Tragic.
then you see these images.
Tragic is the word that describes the images on your screens. And for our viewers who have just tuned in, of course, Gaurav Sawant is getting us a complete perspective and all angles of this particular story on your screens right now. What you see is Taliban taking control over Kabul. What is happening is that these are shocking images coming in from the Kabul airport. If you take a look at these images, there are US Apaches shooing away desperate Afghans. Low-flying Apaches dispersed, they clear the runway as well, and Afghans clung onto the wheels of the C-17 Globemaster. And one of the most defining and horrifying images coming in is of that C-17. Just take a look at that one on the left side of your screens, where people clung onto the wheels of the C-17, and you can see the people in their desperation trying to cling onto the wheels and then falling off that particular aircraft.